Hello again. Today we're going to go over a repair on a DW321 Type 1 jigsaw. The issue is, or was, I've already repaired it, but the issue was that it wouldn't actually saw. The shaft was not moving. Sometimes it would move, but as soon as you put it up against the wood, it would stop. It would not actually saw. The other thing that was noticeable was when you tried to undo the collet, or whatever you want, the blade holder. When you got to the end where it should just stop like it does now, the whole shaft would spin in circles. So obviously something was loose and either broken or loosened up in there. So I decided to take a look at it. I've already repaired this, but the repair is pretty quick and easy. So just in case anybody ever runs into this themselves and they want to try and fix it themselves, figure I'll put this up online. All you're going to need is a T20, a flathead, and a Phillips, and a pair of needle nose pliers. And we're going to have to open everything up and get inside the metal here. So to start with, I'm going to take the base off, and if your base is currently pulled back, you can't see the screw, just make sure you push it forward, and the flathead goes. And now on the left side, there's only one screw at the front, one of the T20s. So we'll start on that first. On the right side, well, actually before we separate the halves, there's one screw on the back. Oops. And then this whole rear cone comes off. Now you can go through the right hand side of the handle and take out or loosen up the screws that are here. And using a T20 on these, they're actually, the screws are slotted, so you could just use a flathead on these. Whoops. And now this whole side of the handle will come off. And take the other half of the handle. This trigger just fits down. This will probably all come apart as I'm doing this, but anyway. And then this just sits on there, so you can just lift that off. Now we switch over to the Phillips. And there's 4 screws to take out. Now, when I first took this apart, and this is why I said you need needle nose pliers, I took the spring off and popped this out, but now that I think about it, you don't really need to do this. But one thing, when I first took this apart, one of these arms was actually off to the side, so just check that and make sure they're seated, both legs of this clip are seated well. But now that you have those 4 front screws off, this whole front will just lift off. And try not to move anything at this point, or else you're going to have to realign this bracket with the wheel there. But the repair for me, anyway, these 2 screws right here, one of them had loosened up significantly. You can actually probably tell this one looks a little worn off. So it's just a matter of coming in here. There is a flat, I should point that out. This is all round on either side, and there's a flat right here, so when that wheel seated and moving around, sliding back and forth, doesn't get hung up. So make sure this bracket, because when it's loose it'll slide up and down the shaft. Just make sure it's centered over the flat, and then you can just make sure these are still tight. Make sure those are good and tight. If this ever loosens up on me, I'll consider taking it all apart and then putting some Loctite in there, but we'll see how it goes for now. And then it's just a matter of reversing everything to put it back together. One thing to watch out for when you're going to put it back together is this seal down here. If you move this, the blade support, it'll push that seal right out. Just make sure it stays seated. And then make sure your gasket is still sat down nicely. I'll put this back in. And it's just a matter. No, there's guide pins over here, plus the 2 metal rods. And like I said, you want to make sure that this lines up with that. If everything is good, it should, it may not stay down there, but you should be able to, with light pressure, get everything nice and flush, which I have right now. So now, just a matter of tightening everything back up. Nope, Phillips. Okay, now since I'm in here, I might as well just show a little bit about this. If you do for some reason need to take this part out to maybe check out something to do with the tensioning mechanism, as I twist this, you can maybe see that it's tightening up, and I twist it out, it's receding. If you do need to do any work on this, it's not too hard to take it out. Just a matter of removing that from under the catch that they're in. You can lift that out. This whole piece will come out. You can see it's flat on one side. That's what engages and lets it twist. At this point, if I still had it apart, I could pull the whole shaft out, but I'm not going to do that right now. And then see, it's tightening and loosening, so it's just fine. So the little fork should point up when you put this clip back on. Just a matter of centering it over there, getting it mostly put in, and then give a quick squeeze to seat the forks underneath the metal there. And now we can start to put this back together. If you were unlucky and like the whole trigger and everything pulled out, there's a round circle here that engages with the cutout in the plastic. Just make sure that the button here is in line with the tracks, and then you can run the wires back down inside the plastic. There are 2 forks right here to separate the wires, and then they go in front of this little post, and then it's just a matter realigning this part. Make sure I get this centered right. So you'll probably end up like I'm doing right now, having the wires fall out and stuff. So there's a lip right here that engages under this part. On the other side it's the same, and then this will line up with the hole on the other side as well. So you really just actually now take this. Now I should point out, if you've managed to dump all the screws out, there are a couple types of screws. There are these, which obviously have like a metal thread, and they actually screw into the metal portion. And then there are these, which are clearly plastic screws, and I believe there are a couple. I think they're all the same. They may all be the same length. I didn't take them all out. Let's see if this one's shorter. Yeah, I think these are all the same length. So anyway, if they all fall out, all the ones along the top of the handle, the back up until the top here, are the plastic screws, the black, heavy, coarsely threaded ones. Oops, I need to remember to put the handle on first. Yeah, I gotta reset my switch. Wires in once more. Make sure the power cord is well seated there. And now I just have the two metal threaded ones. You know what, as I look at this, I messed up. This is pinching those wires. They really should come up and on the other side of that post. So I just need to take the one side off, so I leave that one in. Alright, so where I said I think these should actually come on the outside of that post. So this little post here, bring the wires outside of that. And I started to pinch that black wire a little bit. Let's get it down in there a little better. So long story short, just pay attention to the wires, make sure they're not getting pinched anywhere. Trigger's still in okay. Make sure that that's seated as well, which is what I forgot to do before. Alright, I think we're good this time. I received the saw second hand, and I haven't really had a chance to use it because it was broken when I got it. And so I'm looking forward to my next project. I've done a couple test cuts with it. Seems really like a really nice saw. Last part is to put the back on, and the cutout goes up. Slide that over everything. And last but not least, put this back on. And when it comes to resetting this, I don't know if there's a right way to do it, but if you get this position to the point where it can tilt, push this down like it's supposed to be in the locked position, and then I'm just going to tighten it down until it doesn't want to pivot anymore. I think I need to lube this thing up. It doesn't really want to move that well even when it's loose, but I can adjust it now. And when I lock it, and let's see, where's the, there you go. If I lock it in the position, it doesn't want to move, so I think that's about right. And there you have it. Now, if I plug this in, I should have mentioned, make sure you unplug it first. But now it works just fine. The other thing I should mention is it was clicking a lot when I first got it. There was a real obvious clicking, which is probably that flat spot going in and out of its, trap underneath the bracket. So now it sounds like it should. There's no weird noises. And like I said, look forward to giving this some use. Anyway, I think that's it for now. Let me know if you have any questions. I know this is a pretty specific video for the one or two people that hopefully this helps. I'm happy for you. Everybody else, I hope you learned something maybe. If you have some other thing wrong with this, maybe you could use this as a jumping off point to get into it. But it's a pretty simple thing to work on, it seems like. I don't know, parts might be getting becoming an issue for it. I did look to see what try and find parts before I opened this up, just out of curiosity to see what it looked like inside and everything, and a lot of the parts seem to be discontinued. I'm not precisely sure how old this thing is. I don't see a date on the label, but anyway, that's it. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I keep an eye on my videos, and I will be glad to answer any questions I find. So thank you, and have a great day.